Hey everyone, it's Ellen back with another episode of the Sales Team Power Lunch. And of course, back with me today, we have Daryl Vioso, Resource Management Solutions Group, and Karim Ayash from Blue Rhino Sales Solutions. So, whatever we've done in our lives, I think the three of us always consider our occupations to be sales oriented. And, recognizing that we are truly in sales organizations, we sell a product or service and we reap rewards. So, listen, would you recommend a career in sales to anybody out there? And if so, why, Daryl? Why do you think going into sales is a good idea?
Well, you know what? There's a lot of pluses to sales, and I had to think about like all the great things. But I came down with three main reasons as to why someone should consider sales. First off, freedom. Right? You are, pretty much left to be, manage yourself, manage your schedule. You kept left on your own. Oftentimes, maybe if you're doing like traveling prospecting, you're on your own. You basically command your own destiny. You're left on your own, right? Second is the impact. Nothing gets done without a sale. So when you see that, that project that kicked off, whether you're an engineering firm that you represent, or a software, or maybe I don't know, like even like a revamping through consulting, you see it. That's mine. That's my client. I landed that. You see it. It's really you. You really see the fruits of your labor. And then the third, obviously, is compensation. Right? We command our income, right? And I always tell my candidates when I'm recruiting them, we drive the best cars in the parking lot, right? We are the ones who we're making the money, right? So those are the three main pluses to sales.
Wow, good reasons for sure. Kareem, any others that you can think of?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, sales is a game for extroverts mainly, people who love people, people who want to be around people, to always talking to people, meeting with people. And if you put the spin of help, I want to help somebody either grab an opportunity or avoid a challenge with the product that I'm selling. It goes a long way, and it gives a different meaning to sales. Other thing I love about sales is if you notice about all the C-level, they have paid their dues in sales. So the ceiling for sales jobs is very high, higher than any other occupation. If you look at a part of the training that each executive have to go through, have to go through sales at one point because it gives them a really a good understanding, of the dynamics of the company to know exactly, how would, what when to hit the cash register and when to start a deal and what is the milestones in between the cash register and lead generation. So there's a lot to learn in sales, and definitely it's a game for extroverts.
Very, very good point. Back in the day when I was deciding on a career, I majored in law. And, my intention was to be a lawyer. And we see a lot of overlap in those skills. I've always maintained that in sales, you get to travel like a pilot, if that's your desire. You get to diagnose like a doctor, if that's your desire, help people find out what their problems are and solve them. You get to design programs like an architect. You get to do a whole lot of things that really draw on all of your innate skills. So I really like that. I also liked for me that it was really a fast track to success. If you are a good salesperson, you can make a whole lot of money really fast. And I can tell you that in my family, when my kids were growing up, Christmas and holidays, we needed extra cash in the family. So I had the ability to turn on the switch, start an extra sales campaign, bring extra revenue in for the holiday season so that we never did without. You don't have that ability in a whole lot of occupations to dial it up, to dial it down, to be able to pay for a vacation just by, starting a sales campaign. So I think that, as Daryl said, sales really gives you the opportunity to write your own ticket. What I want to have, I know how to achieve that. I also like that for me, I like things to be kind of very, very simple. That old KISS method, to keep it simple, which is how I like to manage my life. In sales, really A plus B equals C. If I get this many leads and I qualify this many leads and I do this many presentations, I'm going to get this many sales. So I like the idea that sales is a predictable kind of career. You put in the work, you are always going to get the money. So that said, not all sales campaigns are equal, and we've all experienced some that were really, really tough through the years. So, Kareem, what's the most difficult thing you've ever had to sell?
Um, I would say I would answer this question differently. I always try to learn more about the product I'm selling and try to understanding very well before selling it because I want to know who are the group of people that would benefit most from my solution. I want to understand their pains. I want to understand their challenges, and I want to understand where uh, where does my product stand in helping them either grab an opportunity or maybe avoid a challenge. And this would kind of make my life easier to sell any product. Now, what I like to sell is different. I like to sell consulting services because mainly there is an element of human touch in it. So I'm talking about people and their capabilities. I'm talking about somebody who wears different feathers in their hat. Back in the day when I used to work in selling consulting services, um, one thing is we used to kind of take pride in our practice lead. Whenever I bring him to a meeting, he drops in the wow factor, and everybody say, you know what, I want to work with Gus. This person is he knows what he's talking about. It seems he has he has lots of experience in that, and this is my product that I love selling most. Other things I love to sell is high ticket items, and just because of the audience on the other side, I like talking to engineers. I like to talk to subject matter experts. These are things that I love to sell. So just to answer your question, um, I wouldn't say there was hard. If you understand your product, it would make the hard selling out of the equation.
Yes, for sure. So yeah, Daryl, that kind of leads me to another question. We've again all faced some really tough campaigns. Can you think of any reason why a person would not want to consider a career in sales?
Oh, most definitely. There's quite a few challenges. They're all kind of interrelated, but I'd say sales can be measured. Sales is stressful and sales is competitive. So the measured part, right? It's one of the few roles in any company where there's metrics. You can actually see your performance. We know how you're performing, and that is tough, right? There's no flying under the radar. It is there for everyone to see, right? Sales is stressful, right? You're getting rejected, right? And the company is relying on you to bring in the lifeblood of the company and the profits, et cetera, right? So that's very difficult, and it's very competitive, right? I'm up against Kareem. I'm up against rival competitors for the prospect's time and their PO or the order, right? It's very stressful all around, and if you can't handle that, or if you don't thrive in that sort of very competitive, uh, you know. Results oriented sort of environment, don't go into sales. Please don't. It will eat you. It will absolutely eat you.
It's so interesting because as you were saying those things, I'm thinking those don't sound bad. The metrics, having to work the numbers, and that's because I'm going to say that's where my personality is suited. And you're absolutely right. I've seen a lot of people try and fail or just decide it's not for them. They were better suited to other careers. So you're absolutely right. I think for the right person, there is no better career. For the wrong person, ouch, it's going to hurt a whole lot until you redirect and perhaps look at a
Yeah,
different career.
I'd like to add something here, Alan. Yeah, so basically, there's out there. There's lots of people to talk about the alignment of stars for salespeople: a great product, a great territory, and a great manager. And if one of those goes away, then it makes the life of a salesperson much harder. So when we talk about the great product, how is it selling? Is it acceptable? Is it something that is needed in the market? And then you talk about the territory. Once I worked with IBM, the person who had New York was making as much as probably as much as the rest of the team there. So and the manager, if the manager is not supportive and he's not a coach, also could put really make things even harder. So basically, yes, back to what you were saying and Daryl was saying, definitely sales can be tough, and it's not for everybody.
Absolutely. Really great point, too, because I found, and I think my teams have found that the rejection from clients didn't bother us so much. You almost expect that. You're not the only game in town. You're going to run into competition. Sometimes it's price point, whatever it might be. But I found that way back in the day, if my manager was not supportive, if I didn't have that soft place to fall and somebody to really build me up after the client knocked me down, I found that very, very difficult. And I didn't like to work with management that wasn't supportive. And I'm sure that's the case with a whole lot of salespeople.
Absolutely.
So listen, Daryl, we talked, we heard from Kareem about the hardest thing he ever had to sell. And of course, what he liked most, his favorite product to sell. What's the case for you? What was the hardest and what did you like best?
Well, the hardest sale was, I'm going to age myself right now, but like in the late 80s, the gas industry was deregulated. And so basically what it allowed is your gas could be provided by multiple providers. And what had born this new industry of gas brokers, right? So they would basically allow you to kind of like watch the market, and they would say, okay, you're getting your gas from ABC, and now you're going to get your gas supplied by DEF, right? But it was very much almost, it was shady. Really is the best way I could put it, right? Because it wasn't customer oriented, right? It was just really this sort of like flash in the pan sort of approach. And that's why I really struggled with the value add that it was providing, because I was doing it as a summer job. And I was really struggling with how's this helping these homeowners. And then to make matters worse, it was door to door. Oh my God. It toughened me up. But at the same time, too, it broke me down. Like literally, I kid you not. This is no word of a lie. One time after like a series of like sales, I cried in my bathroom. I was crying, and I was like, I hate this because I don't believe in it. Right? I don't believe in it. And they had all these like gimmicky sort of like rebuttals and approaches. So that just like really ate at my soul. Really, that job really ate at my soul. But the easiest sale, other than like selling for my own company now, the easiest sale is my brother is autistic, right? So I am very much a strong proponent of special needs, especially special needs adults. And so anytime like his previous centers or any sort of fundraising that was involved in and around special needs, easy sell. I was like, whether it be for like selling tickets for a gala or getting sponsors, to donate prizes or what have you, not a problem. You just send me out there because I believed in it. I loved it. I was like so passionate about it.
Really great point, right? It's easier to sell something that we're drawn to, that we know, or that we're really passionate about, for sure. So
for sure.
I can tell you in my case, my very first sales gig was in life insurance. And I recommend that everybody start there. Because I door knocked, and I'm going to say that back in the day I was very successful through door knocking, because I think innately I didn't have that fear or anxiety that a lot of brand new people might have had. I just assumed, I grew up in a small town, everybody knew everybody. I just assumed every door I knocked on, they'd invite me in for coffee and they'd like me. And because I had that assumption, that's what happened. And I know that I still have friends 35 years later that I met because I knocked on their door to sell them insurance. That said, I'm glad I got my foundation there. The old saying is, unless you've tasted bitter, you never know sweet. And I tell you, when you've gone through selling life insurance, and my hat is off to everybody out there who does it, selling an intangible that is focused on the fact that you might die is not a really positive product. And the fact that I learned to sell in that environment, when I went into things like cosmetics and jewelry, pretty, shiny, fun things that uplifted people's moods and spirits, it was an absolute cakewalk. So again, coming from what I felt the most difficult, life insurance, into, from my personal preference, glittery, shiny things that smell great, was super simple. And, going from door knocking into a retail environment was, I didn't understand why anybody had a hard time in retail, because it was like, wait, you get to stay inside when it's raining and snowing, and the people come to you, you don't have to practically break down their doors. It was such an, kind of a major thing for me. So that said, glad I got my foundation there, wouldn't change a thing. So gentlemen, any final points on why people should consider or not consider sales as a career?
I think you need to, first and foremost, when you are looking at a career in sales, whether you're starting off or you're going to make that transition, be honest with yourself. Like really take an honest look as to what sales is. I always encourage anyone who's considering a career, I understand what is sales, because a lot of them just don't understand it. They think it's like retail. They think that they're going to come to you and just buy, and it's like say the iPhone, and they're just going to come in. I want the silver one or the black.
Yes.
Are you kidding me? No, that is not sales. That is not sales at all.
Yes.
You know, sales is we have to go out to them and educate them about our product and our solution, right? And oftentimes that relationship is cold and they never even heard of you or your product. And then that's when the light bulb comes on and goes, what? Oh, okay, I better think about it. I'm like, yeah, you're damn right. You better think about it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Daryl, that led to a really important point. Now, you're the professional recruiter in
Mm,
the group here. And I know that when I've been recruiting salespeople, I have used tests like the DISC assessment, which is available online. You can do the free test if anybody
yes,
wants to check out their ability. I also love the test called the Hartman Color Code. And
yes.
that worked for me very, very well in recruiting salespeople through the years. So, is there a specific test that you recommend for people? You know, if I'm considering going into a career in sales, is there any self-testing you'd recommend I do before I reach out to an employer?
Well, we are proponents of DISC. That's what we use. But I will just kind of temper that. I never educate our clients as to using a test as indicator of sales, right? Because with DISC, right, you know, oftentimes, uh, just quickly, DISC stands for D is driver. Those are typically the CEOs. I is influencer. Those are typically the salespeople, the people who can talk and so forth. S is support, more like of an administration, and C is control, more like engineering, right? That's typically is most. But that being said, doesn't mean that someone say who has an S personality can't do sales, because they're very good at it. There's definitely, because they have good listening skills. They're very calm. They're very measured in their approach and so forth. So for me, using an online personality profile is not to say, can I do it or can I not? It gives you a better window as to what parts of sales will I need to expend more energy on, or maybe I'll need better training on development on, right? I think that's a better look at it. And that's the way I use it for our clients, is kind of, look, Kareem is still a good candidate, but this is the parts that maybe we need to look at training, or we need to modify sort of their sales cycle, or what have you, right?
Yes,
Um,
really, really good point for sure.
yeah,
Because you're absolutely right. You know, we might think the I with some D is a good sales management, candidate, but we also get that if somebody's working on a technical line where they're
yes,
primarily answering questions, but they're expected to upsell and cross sell, you might want to see more of more of an S in there, I think, as well,
yeah,
in the D and the
exactly.
I.
Yeah,
Because if you take your straight I and put them into a solely technical sales position, my concern would be, are they going to get bored? Are they going to get restless? Right. So I completely get that. We've got to
yeah,
take that as part of the puzzle, but not the entire puzzle. So
exactly.
if that makes sense. And, we really should one day soon, guys, do a whole episode on these tests and how people should best use them in their organizations, especially again, when there's so many free or really inexpensive versions of it. I question why somebody doesn't use them all of the time. And I think it's probably because they may just not be aware of which one's best. So
Yeah.
hopefully we could help with an episode in that regard. So listen, if you are watching this episode of the Sales Team Power Lunch, we really welcome you to send in any questions and comments. We really want to hear why you chose sales as a career, or why you maybe tried a sales career and it just didn't work for you. So please feel free to drop a line in the comments anytime. It's Ellen, Daryl, and Kareem thanking you so much for joining us for this episode of the Sales Team Power Lunch.
Bye, everybody.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.